Zambia has raised its external borrowing threshold to 35 billion kwacha, clearing the way for the government to borrow 7.1 billion kwacha from abroad to finance the 2014 budget. And meanwhile, the country's headline consumer inflation quickened to 7% year-on-year in November, driven mainly by increases in the price of food and alcoholic beverages. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Noel Nkomo, who's the CEO of Better Now Finance Company. Noel, thank you so much for making the time to join us today. Let's first start on the extension of the external borrowing. Can we possibly expect...
Hello?
Hello, Noel. I'm hoping you can hear me. I'm just going to repeat the question again.
Yes, I can hear you clearly now.
Okay, fantastic. I'm just going to repeat the question and talk about the external borrowing that we're seeing. Can we expect to see the country now going into the international debt markets and seeing an issuing of the second Eurobond?
Oh, absolutely. I think this has been on the cards for some time now. And primarily, I think it's upon the realization that the huge infrastructure development projects that the government has embarked on in terms of the desire to build or rather network the entire country with tarmac roads has gobbled much of the resources, and there is a need to be able to carry through this program using external borrowing.
Yeah. Now, we've seen a lot of emerging markets taking to the capital markets at the moment. What type of impact will it have on interest rates? Because we have had the downgrading as well as the inevitable tapering of quantitative easing.
Yes, I think we have already begun to feel it, for the simple reason that if you recall the first Eurobond debate, we had their yield in terms of interest rate averaging about 5.2%. per annum. And indications are that for the next tranche of about 2 billion that the government intends to raise through the external debt or capital markets, the yield should be around 9%. And certainly this is going to bring into a lot of pressure in terms of the debt servicing capabilities and sustainability of the government of the Republic of Zambia going forward. And I think what has even made it worse is because of the downgrading by the credit rating agencies, which has pushed up the interest rates, which I think is reflected in the 8.5% that the capital markets are looking at.
Now, can you tell us what type of projects can we expect to see these funds being used for?
I think there are two critical projects that the government is trying to quickly, more or less, fund going at the back of the campaign promises that they made. One of them is that they had promised to improve the infrastructure in terms of road network. Already there's huge projects going on around the country in terms of road rehabilitation projects. Then secondly also is the power generation projects, because Zambia currently is facing a huge, massive power deficit. Which has resulted in an ending load shedding. So the government, I think, will be trying to, as much as possible, accelerate these projects with the sufficient funding.
Now let's move our attention through to inflation. You've seen it tick up slightly to 7% from 6.9%. What was the driver behind this?
I think the driver behind it is two things. I think primarily the government has increased by a huge percentage the civil servant salary. And these, I think, took effect in September. And I think what we are seeing now is inflation filtered through the same condition that resulted from the salary adjustment that was awarded to the civil service. Then secondly, there's also been an adjustment of tariffs on electricity, about 15%. So I think this has gone into the cost of production and the variable cost of goods and services, which I think has seen inflation go to about 7% from 6.5%.
What is your outlook on inflation going forward? Do you see it reaching that 7% mark?
I foresee it getting sustained as we go towards the end of the year, and I'm quite sure that the government is likely to meet the target, because the target was about 6.5% year growth in 2013. But with the measures that, with the environment that we are in now, more especially that, as you may be aware, the government lawyers are on strike, demanding for higher salaries because of what happened to the other civil servants who started to increase. The health workers, the nurses, clinical officers, they've also gone on strike. So the government resource envelope is not able to meet these demands. And as a result, they will have to find a way to satisfy this demand, which again will spiral the inflation bracket beyond the projections, which I'm looking at probably closing at about 8%, 8.5%.
Noel, thank you so much for that insight. We'll have to leave it at that for today. That was Noel Nkoma, who's the CEO of Better Now Finance.